Hello everyone and welcome to another game review. At last, I get to talk about the new Pillars of Eternity game, even though I do think that they didn't have to put the 2 on the end, but I will come back to that later. A thing that I want to say before continuing this review is that there is a lot to talk about, which is just normal considering how large of a game this is, and all the new mechanics and gimmicks added after the first game. So, without further ado, strap on because this might be a long ride. To start off, I want to talk about the story a bit, and I can't promise to not spoil the plot of the first game, so if you don't want to listen about it, just jump to this timestamp that I will hopefully put on the video when it's uploaded. Is it there? Yeah, jump to this part. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, the story. The reason why I wouldn't recommend calling this the second part of Pillars of Eternity, but a side story, is because of the tonal shift that this game has made. The first was dark and gloomy, and to be honest, a classic RPG. It was dark and moody, everything was so serious, and the end was kind of silly, with two of the most important characters going on at each other like school children. No, you are wrong, I'm right. Nuh-uh. Yeah, nope, yes I am, and so on. It was so disappointing considering how well written the rest of the game was. And the question about the gods being real or not that went through the whole game was easily answered at the start of Deadfire. Yeah, they freaking are real. They are doing these amazing feats and being all godlike and stuff. There can be no question about it. But it might change later when I finish the game, which I haven't yet. I spent many hours playing this, and I don't even see the end in sight. But the story isn't the only thing that differentiates this game from the first one. The art style is so colorful and lush that for a moment I spaced out and forgot that I'm actually playing a Pillars of Eternity game. And together with the combat being seemingly easier, which could be me playing on one of the lower difficulties, but whatever, it just seems like a different game, which is actually a good thing. I like these changes. Deadfire seems much more like an adventure compared to the revenge plot that the first game seemed to have. But the most important part of this game, that does make it differentiate itself from other games of this type, and which makes me like it so much, is the sailing. Of course, there will be a lot of it. It is a pirate-themed game after all. And boy does it do it well. Right at the start, which could be anywhere up to 2 hours of the game, I got my first ship. And I was told to assemble a crew and buy supplies. Yeah, sure, whatever, let's just be done with it, I thought. But after I got the freedom to actually sail around and listen to the shanties together with the sim-like management of the ship, I got immersed instantly. And not to mention all the islands full with treasure and dangers that I got to name after I cleared them. I was hooked. But the seas aren't just fun and games. There are many ships sailing around, and some of them wouldn't like anything more than put their paws on your booty. Wait, this sounded wrong. Should I just keep it in? You sure? Oh well, anyway. After being attacked by an enemy ship, the player gets to decide if he wants to either attack them head on and to do it in the usual CRPG way by just fighting hand to hand, or the way that I usually try to do it, ship combat, which is actually quite well done and doesn't stand out from the rest of the game because the combat is more akin to handling a conversation than anything else. There are few options that can be picked when it comes to maneuvering the ship, but it all leads to the same conclusion, riddling your enemy with cannonballs before they do it to you. And it is quite fun, even though a bit tricky to get into, until you get used to the range of your cannons and so on. And even the exploration goes well with the ship gameplay. On one quest, I decided to help a guy that was about to be killed by cultists, and he decided to join my crew afterwards. Maybe out of gratitude or because I said that I will throw him to the sharks if he doesn't, but it's all in good spirit. Yarr! The rest of the game is basically Pillars of Eternity 1.5. The characters' stats and abilities are similar and the conversations go as they used to in the previous game, which I liked anyway. Few characters are returning from the first game, but you can go on with the story and get all the important bits even if you haven't played the previous one. And as I hoped, the characters are well written and quite fun to be around. The old ones are as good as they were, and the new ones are sometimes even better. They all react to stuff that you do in unique ways, and that is always nice. So, before I finish the review, I want to say that the graphics have been improved a lot, and everything looks so much more lively than it used to, and the combat, even though easier at times, has been, in my opinion, improved by the addition of the automatic party AI system, which lets me focus more on one character without all the rest just standing there waiting to be turned into minced meat. And the music is great, as I expected it to be. Together with the sound of the sea, it helps a lot with the immersion. So, to wrap this all up, Deadfire did live up to my expectations, even though I am probably way south for finishing it yet. The time played being in 2 digits and me still having to do a lot is quite good, compared to games like Frostpunk. So, if you were trying to decide about buying it, I'd say go ahead, you won't be disappointed. And as always, goodbye and thanks for listening.